to start by saying that's a hard one. That's a tough one, and you know, really pleased with how hard our guys play. I felt like there was a different intensity and a different energy in probably any of the games that we have played. And I think you know, I think it showed up for as many you know, errors as we made in terms of penalties and some details and turnovers. You know, we still had a really good shot to win, and I think it's because they really showed up with tremendous passion. And you know, just really hopeful that can continue. And I think if it can and can continue during the week, you know, we'll make strides. I think, you know, in a lot of ways we got better. Played a really good team. And you know, sometimes it seemed like we did so many good things, but there were so many things that, like, everything else went against us and lined up for Arizona. But you know, was really pleased with how hard those guys played, and I know if we can continue with that intensity, that we can get some things done.
Chris, looking back on the end of the game, any regrets about not taking a knee, or also the timeout situation after Arizona ran third down for the field goal?
Yeah.
Some time on the clock there.
So, you know, the one thing I really want you guys to know is, you know, all of it was very calculated, and so you might not agree with the strategy, but you know, we got our charts all on our game plans, and the guys were looking at it upstairs. And so after, you know, we converted those 2 first downs, we had 4 minutes and some seconds, and we got 2 first downs. And so looking at the chart, we felt like we still had a handful of seconds left before we could really kneel it and kill it. And what I didn't want to do was take 3 knees and then have to punt. We didn't know exactly how many seconds would be left. I didn't want to do the thing where you're running around back there and then all of a sudden it's like there's 1 second left and they're in field goal range. So the strategy was, hey, we're going to run 1 more play, and then we can relook at this time clock to see if we can get it all the way down to take a knee. And you know, and then the ball comes out. And so we had thought about that very closely. As part of your second question, probably the thing I'm most discouraged about that whole thing is that he got a free kick. Like, that was not the intent, and live and learn on that. I mean, we practice that every day, every week ourselves. That if they ice you right at the end, you're going to take a free kick. And so I tried to call timeout a little bit earlier, twice, and for whatever reason it wasn't called. And that's on me to make sure that I don't even mess around with that we just. And so that one was probably as frustrating as anything. Going back and looking at it, we looked at our charts again, where we were, I would do exactly the same thing. I would run another play to probably our most sure-handed guy. That didn't even enter my mind that was going to happen. It really didn't. And I know everybody else probably thinking that, but it didn't.
Yeah, you know, leaving 30 seconds, if you did make it field goal,
yeah,
yourself a shot to get a couple.
Yeah, and I, you know, I didn't think he was going to make it. And my hat's off to him. Man, he did a nice job kicking that game. And they've had a little bit of struggles. That's why we went after it so hard when they faked it on us. And, you know, our hat's off to Coach Rod and those guys. They executed it good. They really did. And so, you know, I didn't think he was going to make it. I really did. And had a little time to play with. And, you know, that one, they came through. And he answered it. You know, my hat's off to him. The kid, pressure kicks.
Even if he doesn't make it, though, what do you lose by just calling the timeout with 33 seconds left? Seems that if he misses it, you just take a knee.
Take a knee, yeah. And I guess we could have done that, yeah. And had a chance to return something. But I think, you know, the main thing is going back to the first part of, you know, killing the clock, that whole situation. That I would have done that one. I would have done that the same. I would have run one more play to see where we were and get if we can't run that thing all the way out.
Chris, how are those charts calculated? That's what you guys look at every week, or is it done kind of before?
No, it's done before. We don't change them. And you know, it's if you get a first down, if the clock is stopped, so there's 2 different things that you're looking at. You're kind of simulating that you know, a play to take a knee may take, you know, about 3 seconds off it if you're just taking a knee. If you run a play, maybe a little bit more. And so, you know, it's not an exact science, because depending on when that ref gets the ball, if you run a play, if you're taking a knee, and that's why we really felt like there was going to be a handful of seconds left. And we needed to run one play, and, you know, I'm thinking, well, hey, maybe we're going to get a first down here. But we would be able to regroup and get a much closer count, you know, if we could kill it out.
Because that was a running clock moving forward, emphasize maybe to your team to train the play clock a little bit better.
And so we were milking it fairly good on that last one. I think Siler snapped it with about 7 seconds, which that one was too early. We had some motion on that play, so we got a lot to look at there. So that one probably brought the motion a little bit too early. But even with that, even if he would have gone right down to the end, he still would have had a couple seconds on that play right there. I mean, so again, it goes back to, we wanted to run one play.
You don't second guess yourself at all on that?
On that whole situation? Yeah, I've looked at it about 105 times, second guessing, and if I had to do it again right today, I'd do the same thing.
Is there an exact number of seconds you needed fewer on the chart? Do you know how many?
Well, like I said, when we got there, we knew that there was going to be a handful of seconds. It would be anywhere from, you know, I don't know, I think it was, I mean, looking back on it, could have been anywhere from 5, 4 to, you know, 8 seconds, depending on when you got it, when the, how much time was run off there, and that's what we thought. And we're not sure we could run that. What I didn't want to do was take a knee, and then have to punt. That I didn't want to do. Because I think that they're going to send everybody and their brother after our punter, and even if they don't get to it, we're going to have to stay in so long for punt protection that he's going to get a good chance to get that thing started, and then there it could go. You know, I mean, this is what I do know is that, you know, the strategy we went with, we coughed it up. If we do the other one, we punt to them, they block it, or they return it, I'm getting the same questions the other way. And so, you know, when your strategy doesn't work, you get a lot of questions. But we felt at that time that was the best thing to do.
Is that going to be on there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And not so much about that. Not so much. Yeah, he's doing fine, you know. And I always say this, you know, I mean, there's always critical plays right down in the stretch, and everybody wants to, whether it's a field goal kicker or something like that, and everybody wants to look at that play. That's the one we remember, that there are so many plays on tape that we had a chance to, you know, change the game. And really some subtle ones in terms of field position, some penalty type things. We had a couple shots, a couple interceptions, you know, those type of things, some sacks. We took the turnovers in the red zone, this, you know. We can go on and on. There's just so many more. We always focus on that one at the end, and it's so hard.
What were some of the things you would change in that game based on the errors that you saw?
Well, the penalties, you know, I think there were some penalties that we need to clean up without question. There were some real aggressive penalties, and so it's always playing right to the edge and having great football intelligence and pulling back. And so we've got to get that cleaned up, and those things are hard to practice because, you know, the speed of the game changes, how fast you're really going in the game, but we got to practice a little bit faster so we can have a chance to make some of those type of decisions. And obviously the turnover thing, I mean, that's just, you turn it over 3 times to a really good team. I just don't think, you know, you're going to win unless you have a lot of luck. And obviously the luck that we've been having lately is kind of on the other side of the coin. So I think those are the things.
Where's this game sit as far as top spots?
Yeah, it's painful. It's painful. I mean, they're all painful. I mean, I feel really, you know, I feel really bad, but I feel like this is how it should be when the kids play this hard. You know, that when they play that hard and you have chances to win, and you really in some ways deserve to win, and you don't, it's just, it really hurts. But that's what sport's all about. I mean, I really think that's when it's done right, that's why it's like hard. And you analyze every little call, the ones we're talking about, you know, going back over the different plays. The kids are the same way, you know, how could I have done this a little bit different? Sports are hard sometimes.
You mentioned in regards to the clock management that you wouldn't change anything there. Is there anything
the timeout earlier, so the ref does not wait at all. I didn't like that at all. That one really bothered me.
Besides that.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a coaching standpoint, I mean, we moved the ball well. We got Casey involved. All those things were better. I think we played really good defense, really physical defense. The kids were running the ball like we hadn't seen them run in a while. I mean, so there really was a lot of good things. And, if we can continue with that passion, that effort, that energy, and not be discouraged, and, play these last couple of games with that type of intensity, I think our chances get better.
It's kind of unusual in a game like this to see, with this much offensive success, you had all those penalties, turnovers. It seemed more than any game this year, you had a real offensive rhythm going most of the game. How do you look at that? What does that look like?
So it felt different and it felt better. When we can convert some third downs, our third downs were better. So we were staying on the field a little bit longer. We got to run more plays than we've run in a while. And so it did feel a lot better. That's what it's supposed to feel like on offense. We still like to, I still think we left too many points, on the field in terms of the red zone, a couple turnovers. Kyle's been money in that field goal department, one bounces, all those things. These balls ground on an extra point that could have, all these little things is just like, wow. I mean, there's just so many things, like how many, we play so well in so many ways, and then so many things that just really aren't good football. And I think that's what's kind of awkward, weird about the whole game. And that's what we got to get better.
What do you do to kind of clean up or make more crisp the center snaps?
Well, that's right. And so we're working hard on that. I mean, we may have to move some guys around a little bit there. We get a couple guys that can snap the ball. Collins, he's done a heck of a job in there blocking and doing some really good things. But he can play guard. We got other guys who can play center. Maybe we should shuffle some things around there because that's hard to deal with as well when the snaps aren't right on the money.
Coach, we deal with the fans every day, and they're angry, they're pissed off. If you saying you do the same thing over again, I'm not sure that's going to soothe a lot of the anger and frustration out there. What do you have to say to the fan base out there? Because they're still angry.
Yeah, and I think it's hard. It really is. But I think all I can do is be honest and look at that again in the same situation. I don't think we could have killed the ball. We were going to run one play, and then maybe we could have taken a knee, and we go from there, regroup. And no one's more disappointed. I can tell you this: no one's more disappointed than myself and his coaches and players in the locker room. There's no question about it.
Hey, so can you talk about the mechanics of that particular play from coming up top, looking at the chart, and go, did the process work the way you wanted it to?
I think so. Yeah. Can we kill it? Can we take a knee? No, we need to run another play. Looks like we need another play.
So there wasn't any problem with pickups?
No,
the way
not at all.
Process.
I mean, the whole thing is, we were huddling up. We were trying to take time off the clock in that whole series there. Converted a couple third downs. Got that done. So we were very well aware of it. We converted the last one and it was like, we need one more play.
Philosophically, what don't you like about the quarterback taking the snap and taking 6 or 7 steps backwards or running out to the outside and falling down, kind of time wasting, things like that?
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. If we can get that all done, like I say, we go back and kind of go off the charts. And, if the chart says, hey, we're not really in that knee position yet, we go from there. And so, I know that everybody will be, on point and looking at those things. I mean, as much as we possibly can when this comes down the road again, because it will. And, we'll practice knocking the clock down further when we're kind of in our 4-minute mode and make sure that we take every possible second we can without putting ourselves in jeopardy with penalty.
Is that something that field goal that you assign a defender watching the tape and then what happened?
Yeah, and so there's most of the time we have everybody accounted for, all the eligible guys on the wings and the tight ends, and then every now and again we'll pull the trigger and we'll rush the guys. And so And so we won't cut them all loose for sure. But there may be one guy that will be cut loose when you're going to go for basically an all-out block. And so Buddha was on them. He was on the one guy, the one wing. They released two wings, and Buddha was on the one guy because it was a run-pass option for sure. But our other wing came hard off the edge trying to turn the corner. And then Travis Feeney and John Timo, I mean, they were chasing hard. The one wing was in the flat, got a piece of Travis, and we might have got him. And John, was giving everything good to keep him out. I think that was, a good call on their part, for the game.
So you can't shoot it at a time where you're trying to block the field goal?
What's that?
Are you saying that they caught you at a time that you were
We're a
trying to
pretty
block?
aggressive block team when it comes to those type of things. And, but we're not always doing that. We pick and choose our spots, but in the most part, we try to push hard from up the gut, more so than the edges. And sometimes we will come hard from the edges. And it was a good call. I mean, it was a longer field goal, and they had been struggling a little bit, and so we're trying to make sure, hey, we keep these points off the board.
Will you practice more of the late game stuff? I mean, I assume you practice it every week, but with the young quarterback, offense,
Yeah,
kind of fit in
we will pay attention to that and have our play clock on and make sure that we're milking it down as far as we can. There's no question. I mean,
The snaps are obviously one thing, but Sadler's just kind of flat dropped the ball a few times this year too. Is there something with his grip, with his hands?
yeah, I don't know about that. He has, and his balls come out when he's trying to throw it and all that, and it slips out. And those are hard things. And I think the combination of some of the snaps and some of that make it pretty tough. You're going to have those every now and again. I mean, every team does, but we got to get better. We got to get better at snapping the ball accurately so you can kind of grip it quickly and go from there.
Coming back to the performance of the offense, I think you guys had 12 guys touch the ball. Is that how you design the offense to look? Is that ideal?
I think this week was better in terms of like what we'd like it to be. We'd like to stay in the field longer. We'd like to distribute the ball around, and work the third downs, run more plays, stay out of as many 3 and outs as we can. I think those things are all what we're trying to get done.
Hey, what were your first teams doing to try to kind of regroup?
It really wasn't terribly different than it was even after the game. Just that I think the one thing that I felt, and I hope that they felt, it was like the intensity that came to that game, the effort. Like that's how it has to be. That's it. And if we can replicate that every game, if we can replicate a lot of that intensity during the week, there is no question that we're going to improve and get better. And then we just talked about the areas that we do need to clean up. Some of the things that we've already spoke about. And that's basically what it was. And we got two weeks, and we're really into a 1-week season as always. And Oregon State, is doing a heck of a job right now. It's the same old thing. This league's unbelievable. Every week. I think it was like the NFL in terms of parity. It's very hard to predict who's gonna do what. And every games are close. And guys knocking each other off. So we need that type of intensity and that passion this week as well.
You mentioned Chris at the beginning, this was going to be emotional. You've been seeking both sides of the ball. Why do you think it took 11 years?
I don't know. I really don't know. That's a great question. And, it's something that we've really been talking about and trying to, as a coach, you don't think you can just talk about things. You got to talk about them and you got to go do it. You got to work on it. You got to practice it. But bringing like emotional energy and passion, all those things, those sometimes are hard to replicate, practice, and practice those type of things. But I do think we've been making strides, and it showed up this weekend.
Washington had a big game for you, and over the last month, he hasn't had a lot of carries. Were you having to manage his energy towards the end of the game a little bit when he got up to 19 carries? Was there any fatigue there you were kind of watching for?
I think, our running back coach, Keith Bonifant, does a good job. Every position coach manages their guys and pays attention to the rep count, what the reps look like. Does the guy need to come out for a blow? And so, I think he was okay. He's practiced pretty well the last couple of weeks, although he hasn't got a bunch of reps in the game. Finally kind of got him loose, and that was good to see.
Chris, going back to
Just open up the clips a little bit more and execute the ones better.
think we just executed better, you know. I think we did a good job of running the ball against a pretty good run defense. And, you know, as soon as you can run the ball, I think some things in the pass game start to open up. And you're in more manageable situations in terms of converting third downs. I mean, that helps your third down percentage. You know, we try to play to the strengths of our guys, start with our quarterback, and so, you know, we're trying to do what he can do well.
Just going back to the not calling for more time after the field goal, what's the negative to leaving yourself? You mentioned that you didn't make.
Yeah.
Call timeout with 30 seconds on the clock. If he misses it,
Yeah.
game's over.
Yeah.
He makes it, you got time.
That's what I'm saying too, yeah. And there probably is no negative, and yeah, going back to the use of timeout there, let him kick it, and we try to throw the ball back and forth, and, you know, that type of stuff, and we split it.
Last home game for your other class, we talked about the transition, importance of that for your program.
Say the last part one more time.
How important have they been to the transition for you taking over as head coach?
Yeah, I think the seniors have done a really good job. I mean, Danny Shelton is playing, you know, unbelievable football. I mean, that guy's playing really, really good. And Howard Kaha, man, his stats speak for himself, but he's awesome to be around every day. And we got those senior linemen. I think those guys have done a good job because, you know, it's hard. Newness is hard. And those guys have we've been a pleasure to be around. And there's nothing more that we'd like to send those guys out with a win last game, Husky Stadium for sure.
How did John Teague come out of the game?
He was out there running around today. And so, you know, I think the next couple of days we'll tell whether, you know, he can go. It looks like he can right now. But maybe, you know, we're on pads today. He didn't go full speed, but he looks better than I thought he was going to be.
It was a good.
Yeah.
Chris, when you watch the game again, you see the clock get down to 30 seconds. You tell yourself that, yeah, I should have called the timeout once to give my team a chance to win. If he does make the
If he makes the field goal to get one more play, yeah, I think that's fair.
How encouraged are you to see the way Sidney Jones recovered after the first quarter, a couple plays he got beat, the way he recovered later in the game, and also Buda Baker from one game to the next game, just those freshmen.
Yeah, I think the freshmen are growing up, you know, rapidly. I really do, and it's nice to see guys improve. I mean, that's why we do this. And I think Sidney's, you know, done a really nice job. Finally got a couple of picks, which was good. Buda coverage is much tighter, and he's not the biggest guy, but boy, you know, he came downhill and caused that fumble, and you know, he's doing a great job. I think all those freshmen that we're playing are getting better. And down the road, that's going to really pay tremendous dividends.